Good morning, or afternoon, or night, depending on where you're at in the world and what time you're watching this. It's, I think today's 7th of December. I don't know. It's Tuesday in December. How about that? And I just got off of work not too long ago, got home and decided, well, we're going to get the bike out, go for a little ride. So like my truck said, it was like 43 degrees, 45 degrees, something like that. It was supposed to rain today, but that either hasn't happened yet or it's not going to happen. So I'm on my way into Decatur just for a little cruise. Gotta show some friends of mine, people that I know, the bike. They're wanting to hear it and see it. So we'll zip it on in, and that'll give us some good riding before the sun goes down. This is more or less for me than it is for the camera, because I got to do a better job of talking to this thing and what to say and blah blah blah. How about that? I'm not the only bike out here. I guess we'll just have us a little video on who I am or what I'm about, and that'll be the end of it. I'll show you around Decatur, some of my favorite places and whatnot. I was born in Decatur, Illinois 28 years ago, and I've spent the majority of my life here. I have moved, I think I'm up to like 13 or 14 times, something like that I've moved in my life, but the majority of it's been in the Decatur area. I'm married, happily married to Lexi. We don't have any kids at the moment. We both plan on having kid or kids one of these days. I'm just trying to get my selfishness out of the way, get all of the traveling and spending money gone, but that'll never happen. I'm a truck driver. I've been a CDL holder for 5 years, I think, since 2017. I work for a farmer. Kind of a new gig going, I'm trying out, but so far so good. All grain, corn, dirt, rock, sand. Got dump trucks and bottom hoppers. Have motorcycles, I guess. I remember, let's see, my dad has always ridden bikes as far as I've known. I remember, I guess, being about maybe 3rd, 4th grade, maybe. He brought home a 50cc chopper, and I thought it was the coolest thing. We got to ride around town side by side. You know, I got to give the bike away for the first time on my own bike. I had ridden with him on the back of his bikes for as long as I can remember. My first big trip on the back of his Kawasaki Voyager was out to Colorado from Illinois. We rode all the way out there to, I want to say, Denver area. Rode all the way back. And I probably would have been maybe like somewhere between 8 and 11 years old at that point. High school, I was big into sports, lifted trucks, dirt toys, kind of. We had a couple go-karts. But I played college baseball, so the majority of my high school years and early college years was focused on that, so that kind of took up all my time. I got my first motorcycle in 2016, I think. It was a Yamaha 650 V-Star. I traded a sport quad for it, or sold the sport quad and then bought the bike. I don't remember, but all I remember is calling my dad and saying I'm buying a bike, and he said, "What are you getting?" I told him I want a Harley, and he said, "Okay, go get you a Sportster." I said, "You don't need anything bigger." He said, "I tell you what, better yet, why don't you get a starter bike? I'm gonna get you a Yamaha or a Honda 650, 750, somewhere in there, and learn on that, and then you can go get you a big boy bike after that." So I said, okay. So I went out and bought that V-Star. I think I bought it with, I don't know, maybe like 10,000, 12,000 miles on it. And I sold the sucker in the mid 20 range, 24, 25,000, something like that. I had it for 2 years. I lived down in southern Illinois at that time, so a lot of the miles were put between there and coming back here to see Lexi and family and whatnot, because we were dating at that time. And we did go on a few big trips. My dad lives in southern Indiana, so we took the bike over there a couple times, a few times. I rode all over Missouri, Illinois. I mean, me and her rode that and had a good time. And I guess at some point in there, I either realized that I needed a bigger bike or I wanted a bigger bike. So I ended up trading that thing in for Pharryn Springfield in 2019. It was a leftover model. Worked a deal with them. Basically, I went into the dealership to actually get my Can-Am Sport Quad worked on for something, and I was looking at the Indian bikes, and a salesman came over and he asked me if I had ever ridden one. I said no, I honestly didn't even know Indian existed. And if you want a real kicker, I really didn't even know the history of Indian too well, other than what my dad had pictures of or stories of or whatever. So he says, well, he said, why don't you test ride it? I was looking at that exact bike at Springfield, Dark Horse. And side note, this is actually where I was born, this hospital, and where Lexi works at, so that's pretty cool. But salesman, back to the salesman here, he said, why don't you test ride it? You know, I told him, I said, hey man, I don't mean to burst your bubble, but I'm actually headed to the Harley dealership because Softail Slim at that time was really what I wanted. I wanted it in that army green. It's like a 2013 or 15 model, something like that. I don't remember. But they said, well, he said, why don't you just ride this around the block, and if you don't like it, man, at least you got to ride a free motorcycle today. So we set it up. I took off. I got down to the first stop sign, and I remember pulling over on the side of the road and getting off the bike and like walking around it, and I was like, yeah, I'm sold, this is it. And honestly, the first twist of the throttle is what got me. The power and then the comfort just is unmatched still to this day. And Waterfront Cafe there on my left has awesome wings. We go there and eat a lot, and right across the street is a biker bar called the Wild Dog Saloon. I should have looked at that, sorry. But yeah, so I took that bike back. Basically, I went for a very short test ride, and I said, well, this is the one. You know, and obviously he laughed, because I mean, you know, he making a sale, whatever. But long story short, I bought the bike and put like 40,000 or 44,000 miles on it, something like that, in 3 years, and traded it in and got this Pursuit. All right, so now you're all caught up with my life, basically, at least for the motorcycle aspect. There's a lot more to me. I'm not that boring, but that's a good start at least. Lexi and I had a crash here in Decatur. I might swing by there and tell you about it, or show you where it happened. But we were on that Springfield. We were just out for a joyride before I had to take a load of whatever I was hauling over to Indiana, and we were on a road like this where it's 4 lanes. So we were actually in the right lane, the far right lane. And I was passing this car that was in the left lane, and he decided that he was going to make a right-hand turn and turn onto the street to the right. And his back fender, quarter panel, whatever, hit the front of my wheel, and down we went. I'm not going to sit here and brag and say that, you know, I'm a pro or anything, but I just kind of kept it upright for as long as I could and rode it out. So we went down hard, but we didn't go down as hard as it could have been. Luckily we were only doing maybe 20 mile an hour, something like that. So was I riding like a jackwagon before then? Sure, yeah. You know, I do ride hard, ride fast, but I will say that going down made me a better rider. I don't care what anybody wants to say about being hard, they're never going to go down or whatever, blah 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 blah. Hey, look, it happens. If it doesn't happen to you, great. I hope it never does, but you can learn from it. I learned from it. I still ride like a jackwagon, but now I'm just a less careless jackwagon. So did about $10,000 of damage on the left side of that bike, and the Indian over there in Charleston got it all taken care of, fixed, looking brand new, and that's the end of that. Man, it gets dark super quick here now. I got my dark visor on, so what you're looking at is not the same as what I'm looking at, but I think I might have to switch to my clear one. What I need is like a sun react visor. That would be sweet. I rock an HJC I-90 helmet. It's basically brand new because the first 3 years or 2 years that I've owned this thing, I never wore it because I don't like helmets. But this YouTube thing is changing my mind. So it's working out so far. Camera setup I think is pretty good. This is the first time I've ridden it or used it on the bike since we kind of fixed it a little bit. I know I was a little crooked on the camera, and then we switched cases. We're going to a metal case now instead of a plastic. It's pretty sturdy, a lot better. Decatur is a historic town. It's got a lot of history here. Right there on our right, that used to be Firestone. It used to be the biggest Firestone in the country, I believe. And they've tore it basically all the way down, and just like a lot of other things in Decatur. I'm probably not the best person to give a history lesson on Decatur because to me the city's just kind of junky. It's got a lot of good to it, don't get me wrong, but it's got a lot of just run down nonsense to it as well. So if you want a history lesson on why this place is good or how it's been in the past, go somewhere else. I will say this is a big biker place though. Central Illinois has got motorcycles for days. It's awesome. There may not be a lot of places to go, and a lot of people may be bar hoppers, but there's no doubt about it, there's a lot of bikes. Got some of these boys now that I'm looking for. There's truck 20 and 11. Yep, those are the two I'm actually looking for, so we'll flip around and follow them the other way. guys work in the city. I used to work here too. Kenny, you guys know Kenny, or at least if you've seen the previous videos, you know Kenny. We had to load up his motorcycle when it broke down. The other guy is Willie, big Harley guy. Nothing against Harley at all. I think it's awesome. Just give him a little vroom vroom. I apologize, I get a little quiet when I'm focused. Yeah, old Willie, he's a little one-minded, sometimes. Big Harley guy, which is awesome. Hey, I'm a big Indian guy, so I get it, I understand it. Says he used to have a Harley back in the day, had a lot of power to it. Which is cool, man. That's awesome. I'm sure he had a built bike back then. It's just well, this bike right here is gonna outdo a lot of stuff until you start getting into engine work or spending a lot of money. There's the adult store. Got one of them here. Pharryn, you can go ahead and edit that out if you want. I was just talking to talk. We give them a little vroom here. So these guys are going to get the green light here. These guys turn it for about 7 seconds. And this one's going to turn. Too much, we're going to end up getting the cops called on us. This is Tate and Lyle, or Premium now. I guess Tate and Lyle got bought out by them, or halfway bought out. These guys have been around forever. These guys and ADM take care of all your agriculture stuff. Man, I'm gonna run out of sunlight faster than I thought. We might have to save some of this Decatur tour for another time, because you got Decatur Lake to go around, which is cool. There's a lot of like mansions here in Decatur. There's some famous people. There's a college here, 2 colleges actually, one university, Millikan University, and then Richland Community College. No sports there, just all education, but good community college to have for the area. I'm not gonna lie to you and say there's not a lot of crime here, because there is. Decatur's really bad on crime, actually. I don't really know a city that's not, I guess, but this is like I mean, it sounds terrible to say, but I think there's people that agree with me. It's kind of like a mini Chicago. Or if you're familiar with Danville, Illinois, kind of like that. I pretty much ride all of Decatur. There's not a whole lot that intimidates me, but you know, I mean, just like every other city and really place in the world, there's certain streets and certain neighborhoods you don't really want to go down. But I mean, if you're not being a jackwagon or doing something to offend anybody, I don't really see the issue. We'll go ahead and take you by where Lexi and I got smoked. Back to that story, I guess, a little bit. The guy that hit us, just 16-year-old kid, he actually took off. He hit us and took off. 3 people went and dragged him back, got him back, and you know, he came up and apologized or whatever. At that time there were already like 3-4 cops there. I would have knocked his head off. I was not happy, but what do you do? Alright, so how this accident went is we basically turned there from the other direction, back there at that stoplight, and I'm not gonna lie, I was kind of getting it a little bit over this bridge. We got to the top here and I started seeing some cars kind of stacking up on the left side, but the right side was clear. So, I mean, I'm going faster than what I was now, but basically, yeah, probably about this speed, about 20 mile an hour. And we were gonna go straight, and I was getting ready to turn left up there at the next light or whatever. And about right here, the guy turned from the left lane right into me, and boom, we went down right there on that corner. And he took off going down to the right. So. There's a place called Krekel's. It's famous here in Decatur for their burgers and milkshakes. I don't really care for it. Man, I sound so negative on this place. I don't mean that. It's just I don't know. It's not really my favorite, but that's usually how everybody will explain it to you from their hometown, right? But anyways, I would go to Krekel's. Basically, I don't like it because the hamburgers are super thin and like flimsy and just kind of like Steak and Shake almost, how their steak burgers are. So I just don't really care for it. Not saying I won't go there, but yeah, there's like I don't know, 4, 5, 6 different Krekel's all throughout Decatur, surrounding areas, whatever. We don't have a go-kart track, so if you watched one of our previous videos, that's kind of a bummer because I think we'd have a blast. As far as ice cream goes, since I'm looking at a DQ, I love ice cream, and there's not really a good ice cream place. At least not one I can think of. I mean, there's some that I would tell you to go to, like, I mean, you could go to Krekel's for their ice cream. If you go to Krekel's, go to the one that's on Woodford and see if a lady named Chelsea is working. She makes the best milkshakes. I'm trying to think of anything else to kind of talk about, but I don't really like to talk when I ride. I know it seems like it when we're on the cameras, and like, yeah, me and Pharryn and Eric and Lexi, we have a blast and it makes the time go by faster and all, but I'm more of the kind of guy that just doesn't want to talk. I don't want to wear a helmet. I want to just enjoy the bike and the wind and the freedom, because this is my getaway. Everybody's got their own hobbies, lifestyles, whatever you want to call it, but motorcycling is mine. And I mean, this is a like analogy, not really analogy, but no, this is a scenario, and it might be bad to say, but like you could literally call me and say that one of my parents died or something, and you know, the one of the first things I'm going to do is get on the bike, because that's just my getaway, my happy place. So, but try to keep it entertaining for you guys and girls. So we're basically back where we started when we saw those two guys. We decided to have some fun with them. I don't know who the heck that is. Don't really care. semi-driver. I do not trust semi-drivers. I don't care what anybody says. I think there's a lot of stupid truck drivers out there. I'm also not the biggest fan of the whole start seeing motorcycles movement or whatever. I mean, just drive like a decent human being and be a common courtesy person, and I don't think we have to have all that stuff. No, I'm not a hippie, but there's a lot of extra stuff in the world. So this is a warehouse here I used to deliver to. This is where these guys are supposed to be at, or at least coming back to. There's some people that work in the warehouse that I think would love to see this bike, but I don't know if they're here or not. Wave at this lady here if she's still out. She was one of the... Give him a little bit of a show. That guy there's a pedophile. Oh, I'm sorry, I shouldn't say it on camera. Ow. I guess I can't pull that hard. Huh. Gonna have to figure out a better system, I guess, to charge all this stuff, but honestly this works. So I charge my phone here off the battery tender plug, and then there's another USB outlet for like Apple Play that I don't use, CarPlay, whatever you call it, that we're using to charge the camera. The only thing I can't charge currently, I guess, if I wanted to, would be my helmet, but surely one of the other two could be unplugged if that ever happens. I really need to switch my visor though, so I guess let's go ahead and do that. I think the video cut off there, but that was a how-to video on how to change my visor on this helmet. Not really, I'm just completely joking with you. It was about 2 minutes of me struggling to figure it out while you were stuck listening. But anyways, there we go with the anyways thing again. I'm gonna plug this guy. Put him in there. Surprised the bike hasn't shut off yet. I'm pretty sure there's like an auto shutdown thing or something on this. Give him a little bit of a show here. Sorry for getting a lot of wind noise on this. What up, boys?
Got that motherfucker running, don't you?
How you doing?
Woo! What's up, baby?
I'm gonna need a new rear tire. Alright, so I had a little fun with them. Now it's time to go. Okay, new clutch, new wheel, new fork seals.